Good morning, rock and rollers. I tried to film this video yesterday, admittedly, and there were just way too many variables and way too many things that were going wrong, and I wasn't happy with the way it turned out. So we're going to redo it today. So basically what I have here is a Sony STR-DE 985 AVR receiver from the early to mid 2000s. I think that particular model was made from 2002 to like 2008. I bought mine in 2008, but I bought it used. I don't think it was Marketplace now that I think about it. I think it was either Craigslist or eBay. I paid a pretty penny for it back then, and I bought it right when I graduated high school because I didn't really know about the the 70s hi-fi receivers. But at that point, all I knew was it was 100 watts per channel and had a shit ton of inputs on the back, and I actually ran a Q8 deck off of it too for a while there. It has multi-channel inputs. I guess I'll start with going over that. Let's check it out, do an initial check out first. I'm going to try to get this done before the baby wakes up. She's starting to roll in her crib a little bit. I'm watching her on the monitor. So I will start by saying, start with the obvious. It looks I think it looks nice for what it is. Definitely classifies as BPC. That's basically anything the elitists will call BPC. I don't hate it. I'll never get rid of it. Like I said, it did what I needed to do when I didn't have a lot, so I'm kind of sentimental to it. It's a good little receiver. Honestly, I've never had a problem with it. It's never given me any kind of trouble at all. It always does exactly what I wanted it to do. It has a tape input, output, mini disc, CD. The tuner on it, if I remember correctly, tuner on it was so-so. I haven't used it in a while. MMR, hell yeah. What the hell? XTU, MMR, Cat Country, MGK, 1045, I-105. Yeah, last time I used it was when I was going through my little country phase. I can see XTU, Cat Country, and freaking I-105. That's funny. But yeah. So it's been about 5 years since I've used it. I'm not even going to try tuning anything in down here. The tuner on the thing is honestly mediocre at best. It could lock in an MMR upstairs with an antenna hooked up, but you really got to mess with it. And where I said the one like this, you would just plug it in and drop it behind it and it would work just fine. So anyway, the goal of this video was to see if I could play quad FLAC files off of my USB like I do with the Oppo, but with a cheaper Blu-ray player instead of spending the money that the Oppo costs. The answer is yes, but the answer is also no. The Oppo, which I'll show you, the Oppo is basically like a magical machine. The thing is absolutely incredible what it can do, but you pay well for it. You pay for every single one of those features that it can offer you. The Sony here, it's a 4K Blu-ray player. It looks good, works great for movies, and I'll show that. I will. It'll play anything on a disc, no problem. The multi-channel decoding will come up. It'll send your front left, front right, rear right, and rear left speakers. No problem. No problem at all. To get FLACs to play correctly, I'm actually even kind of questioning if it works the way it's supposed to, because this doesn't even really light up. Like I said, I'll show you how the J. Giles band Bloodshot comes up. This is actually an interesting release because the Quadio set's really popular right now amongst our community. But this one here, and as well as Foghat's Energized Blu-ray audio, like that one there that had this Jefferson Starship that had a Q8 and then CD4 release back in the day, so that's nothing unusual. But these two right here, and they were two of the really popular rock and roll bands at the time. I don't know what they were thinking by not releasing it. Their Nightmare is another Tales from the Vinyl Jungle album that had a Q8 and a CD4 release, but this one, and then Foghat's Energized here, did not, although the mixes were made and completed back in the day. I'm really hoping Rhino releases more of them. I think it's a pretty cool thing to finally be able to hear them the way they were supposed to sound, and I'm really glad they released that, because I was actually going to make a quad mix of Bloodshot myself, but now I don't have to. But in any event, I am rambling on again for no reason. So anyway, long story short, I have the Blu-ray player here. Okay, powered up. Hooked into my TV via the HDMI 3. When I put this room in back when COVID first hit, I had a lot of time on my hands, obviously. That's when I built this room, and I definitely made some future plans. I had an extra HDMI for doing testing and stuff like that. I actually did run speaker wire through the walls. I got to cut a little hole in there and freaking tap into it to run my rears and just plug them into an outlet. That one there too, same thing. I have it run behind, but that's okay. It does what it has to do for now. Let's do our visual aid. I love my visual aid. I literally turn that on just for show. In fact, let's turn on my other visual aid too. Yeah. A lot of times I'll come down here a couple hours before I'm ready to film just so my lava lamp works. Seriously, it's a real thing. I know it's kind of lame and corny, but I do it. Alright, so right now we have that turned on. I'm going to use this little USB here because I have the test files I need on there. I'm not going to play any actual music right now because I'm tired of getting slapped by YouTube for it. Why am I? Oh, actually I hit the button. My bad. Alright. Looks like the baby's crawling around too. I'm probably going to have to pop. Oh, there she goes. It's alright, kiddo. I'm coming. Alright, guys. I'll have to get back to you. So I got through the introduction. When I get back, we're just going to get right to it and we'll start demoing. So I'm going to set this up to DVD. Okay. I'll be back in a little bit. 2 hours later, we're ready to pick up where we left off. So you have a video 3 input on the front, as well as an S video input, and a fiber optic input as well, all for video 3. On the back, you have front and surround, center and surround back, which is basically a rear center channel. This is a 6.1 channel receiver. They never really took off. Lasted for a little bit, not for too long. I do like the antenna input on the back. It's coax. So you have a roof antenna like I do. This is a digital audio input. It's a coax in. So we're running that from the back of the Sony Blu-ray player. And the Sony Blu-ray player, by the way, is a UBP X700. So without further ado, let's see what we got. Music. Audio, set up little test tones. Try the... We'll do the white noise. So it's going to start with your front left, then go to your front right, then your rear right, and then finally your rear left. I'm going to turn it to make sure we're not cranked up too loud. So it's going to, first thing you're going to notice is going to sense the signal. And even though the multi-channel decoding light's not coming on for some reason, it is working in multi-channel as all your channels that are being used are lit up. Just going to go over to here next. Yep. Seconds is going to go over to here. So as you can hear it's kind of already coming through here a little bit, so there is some channel bleed through. Now it's white noise through all 4 channels. So it works, but so the answer is it doesn't really work that good correctly with FLAC files for this one. However, hang on. However, I'm going to take the USB port out of this one, plug it into the Oppo box, plug the coax from the Sony into the Oppo, and we're going to look right back there. There's a coax input in the back of the Oppo. Plug that in right there. Come on. go. Now let's try it. See, now your multi-channel decoding light comes on. I'm gonna go over that speaker next. Go over here. The EQ, when that's all messed up, I don't really feel like digging too far into that. Now we're on here. As you can see, there's no bleed through over here now. And we're all done. So basically my outcome of this is that the Sony AVRs are multi-channel FLAC compatible with modern equipment, providing the Blu-ray player you're using is. And that's what it all comes down to. I know the Xbox One can also play FLAC files in multi-channel. I've done it. So if you have an Xbox One and you want to get into this, you can get a setup. You get a setup like this fairly cheap. Like I said, this is like a $20 to $50 receiver on eBay nowadays. They're not that expensive at all. Functionality wise, they work great. It works great for movies. Movies always sounded phenomenal on it. For music, you can get the sound good with music, but you really got to mess with the EQ settings. And for whatever reason, it doesn't give you a mid-range setting for front, but it does, or for rear, but it gives you a mid-range setting for your front. And the reason for that, I think, is that for a quad system, you're supposed to use 4 identical speakers. However, for a 5.1 system, usually you have 2 towers in the front and then smaller versions in the back, and then a small center channel and a small surround back channel. So I'm pretty sure that's why. I mean, it's a stupid thing to cheap out on. I mean, how much money did Sony really save by doing that? Probably not much. Let's see, go through the inputs again quick. So you got DVD, TV input, tapes. I can hook a cassette player up to it, mini disc or data tape or digital audio tape, CD, which is what I usually use, tuner, which like I said works, but it's not the best. Phono. Records actually sounded really good on this one. I mean, minus the pops and clicks, of course, but I'm pretty sure there's nothing much going on in the phono stage, but this will take care of your vinyl needs if need be. Like I said, this is definitely, these were really expensive back in the day. I think they were like $1,000 new. I paid, I think, $450, $500 for this, which at the time was a lot of money for me. I probably could have got one of these back then cheap enough back in 2008, but yeah, later on I actually did hook, it does have a very useful input on the back for multi-channel in. There's actually 2 of them, one 5.1 and one 6.1, I believe. Yeah. Yep. Has a second room output, which could also potentially be useful. Stereo though. Has speakers B, so you can hook a second set of front speakers up if you wanted to. So yeah, it works great with the Oppo box, no problems. I would recommend it for somebody who doesn't really feel like spending a lot of money on one of these, but just keep in mind that although they sound really good for music or for movies, to get them to sound right with music, you're really gonna have to tweak the EQ settings and tweak your speaker position a little bit more than you would with a conventional 4-channel receiver. But like I said, it does work. What I gotta tell you is you just gotta be very careful about what Blu-ray player you opt to use, because a lot of them do not have multi-channel FLAC capability. So when that was working and that lit up without the decoder light coming on, it's not giving you true discrete sound. It's using the normal surround synthesizer, which can actually give you very good results, believe it or not. With all honesty, for fake surround, this actually blows away any of the ones on the Marances or Sansuis, with the exception of the Surround Master Surround Master synthesizer box, which does SQQS and all that happy horse shit, and it does a very good job at synthesizing 4-channel surround via a 2-channel stereo input. One thing I did notice, when you are listening to music in 2-channel stereo, it does not sound very alive at all. And with a conventional 2-channel stereo receiver, it does. It sounds really good. For some reason, I could never get the sound that great. I mean, it sounds okay. Like, for the average person, it'll probably be fine. But I kind of feel like myself and most of us watching this are probably, you know, a lot more picky about the sound quality of what we're listening to. Anyway, I try to keep it short and sweet for you. So the question is, can you play quad FLACs on a modern day, on a any kind of typical AVR? The answer is yes, but it's dependent on whether or not your player is capable of playing the multi-channel FLACs in actual 5.1 or 4.0. In this case, the Oppo can do anything. The Oppo is like a magical machine, worth every cent. But let's just face it, the average person in today's day and age isn't going to want, even if they can, they're not going to want to drop that kind of money just to play this. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help out people that, you know, maybe are just starting out, or maybe don't really have the means to make something like that work. So you can get, it doesn't have to be the STR-DE 985 either. It doesn't even have to be a Sony. You can get an AVR for very, very cheap and affordable on Facebook Marketplace nowadays. You just got to be careful about what you're using to drive it. Like I said, now, if you have an Xbox One, I believe these have a fiber optic output on it. So you could easily get either that, you can get a DAC too for it. And multi-channel DAC, and hook it up to the multi-channel inputs or whatever you'd like to do, or if you want to use a coax input. I like the coax inputs because it's a really simple connection and it sounds great. That's how I would recommend doing it. Like I said, there's really not too much to go over with this. They can be a real pain in the ass to set up. You can customize the shit out of it, really. Even your presets you can do pretty good. There's no balance for your front levels for your fronts. You just have balance, which is kind of annoying. But you can boost your surround channels up if you'd like to. I never turn my dynamic range compression on. That's what that's supposed to do. Is that's supposed to stop any of the really loud parts from coming in and blasting you. But I like the dynamic range. My wife does not, so she would probably want it set on that. But like I said, I use all vintage gear now at this point. But yeah, I will never get rid of this. It's a very sentimental receiver for me. At the time when I bought it, it was the most ever paid for a piece of electronic equipment. And like I said, it served me well. It's never let me down. And if I was in a pinch and I didn't have this stuff, I'd have no problem hooking that back up. Like I said, it doesn't really sound like amazing, blow you away sound quality for music, but for movies it does. It's a very good home theater receiver even now. It's a shame it was before the days of HDMI, but the coax connection can still give you discrete 5.1, 4.0, actually and up to 6.1 surround, although I don't really think much was mixed in 6.1. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but yeah. Anyway, the stickers have long worn off. I actually had an Energy Star sticker on there, and I actually just advertised 600 total watts, which it actually is. I looked up the specs on Hi-Fi Engine. It actually is 120 or 100 watts even per channel for your front channels, your center, your rear, surround back, and your rear channels. All 100 watts per channel. I can't believe it. It's got a little bit of weight to it, but if you look inside, there's nothing too impressive in there, really. Big ass heat sink, that's about it. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I will catch you next time. Hopefully if anybody else was ever wondering that, the answer is yes. The older AVRs will work perfectly for playing multi-channel FLAC files if your player is capable of doing it. So that being said, peace out. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.